just so you are aware, folks, we are about, as we enter the Summer Wells situation, we're about to go deep into that case. I want to remind everyone that there's a lot being covered here, for sure. And to not forget that coming up very soon here, when we go into the Arizona deep dive, which is going to be on the Arizona cases, including Robinson as well, that you're going to see also finally the long-awaited part 3. That's right. The third part that's been being worked on the Kylan Schulte case, which connects to a few other very key things. But of course, there's a lot that's been being worked on, and that's all that's going to be said about that. So look forward to it. Here we go with Summer Wells. This is it, folks. A deep dive on Summer Wells. We've all been waiting for it. It's been being worked on. And this is a big, big deal. This is it. At the mountain kind of canyon region near Ohio and also Tennessee. And then, of course, we go there all the time with David Wise, but also Tammy Wise. Tammy Wise, interestingly enough, basically his mother, who's a part of the Wise Solomon Group. That Solomon Group that's basically in Pennsylvania and now also found in Kingsport, Tennessee. That's correct. And this is another Toyota Tacoma truck and basic truck that he worked on directly, believe it or not, with one of his friends. That's correct. And it was, where else? Raleigh, North Carolina. Dane Ashworth had a hand in this one as well. But what you're going to find out that's real interesting, okay, is the actual, the license plate and everything else. All the decals are actually for North Carolina. They're not for Tennessee. In other words, they're not for Lenoir City, Tennessee, where it says that this is found. No, they're for North Carolina. There it is again, Lenoir City, Tennessee. Trucks are being worked on all the time. Someone named Moise Arroyo and another gentleman, a younger gentleman, Ethan Moise, would work with Ethan Wise on these for unexplained reasons, meaning they put things in the truck beds and so on. And certain things you see, those giant 5-gallon or more cylindrical drums, or 10-gallon drums, they were used very possibly for trafficking unspeakable things, like blood and similar things. It's only associated with child trafficking, point blank. And the problem is we don't know really, in truth, what was put in each of those drums. And we have to confirm and see for ourselves what was put in each of those drums, because it seems a little bit difficult to say that all of these trucks that they worked on were used for the child trafficking. Certainly there must be some that were not used for anything, and so on. But the point being, a number of the trucks that are actually vital to the investigation were clearly used in child trafficking. And this did not take place in Lenoir City, Tennessee. This took place in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're going to talk more about that. Some more that's going on the Summer Wells Deep Dive. And of course, these are the same trucks yet again. This is at a dealership, essentially, that was frequented by Dane Ashworth and also Ethan Wise.
Burns up here at Handy's. We appreciate you reaching out in regards to the Tacoma. We have plenty of options, but this certainly is a nice truck. And this 2017, I just wanted to give you a little walk-around video on, just so that aside from the pictures that are online, you have a different perspective. It really looks like it's in great shape overall. Obviously brand new as far as a pre-owned, pretty darn new. And it is going to carry the certified warranties. I'm sure you already know it's an off-road version, which is going to give you the wheel package. I do want to point out, though, things like extremely new tires, brand new in this case for us, as it goes through the inspection. Again, you may know, things like backup camera are already on there. This is going to come with a drop-in liner as well on every Tacoma. This particular model has the plug-in, and you're going to have the deck rail system on this truck. Also, I'll give you a quick peek at the back seats, not knowing if you've actually owned or been in a Tacoma. Otherwise, with these big back seats, you have some storage underneath them here as well as on the other side, and it's a little bit harder to view maybe in the darkness here on the camera, but there's also storage back there. Those seats will fold down flat also if you do it in right form, so that you can kind of set along with the state inspection next year to go and couple the certified warranties on what otherwise is pretty much a brand new truck. So I hope this meets your needs. I'd love to see you. We're open today until 5 if you want to come down. I'm here on Monday from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. So either way, appreciate your communication. 528-2246.
So very important, because of course these trucks in specific were used in all this interesting trafficking that went on. They were used for that. And this was Ethan Wise, apparently earlier in his life. Just photos of him, which is important. Ethan M. Wise, once again, that essentially is pictured. See if we can get a better photo here for everybody. There he is, Ethan M. Wise, once again. This was a photo of him, a couple of them, just when he was much younger, apparently. And Same thing's going on with the trucks. That's the most important thing you got to know. This is it. For historical reasons, you know, you got to keep all of this in an archive somehow. This is him, Ethan Wise, once again. Same truck. That's, believe it or not, the same truck. Working on it everywhere. They worked on it all the time, every day. And we saw, you know, from the dealership, there was a lot of compartments. They were able to put these large 5-gallon, sometimes 20-gallon jugs and containers in the back and underneath the seats and underneath the bed of the truck. And that's what they were using for trafficking. Make no mistake, folks. They used most of these, if not nearly every Tacoma truck that was done and used and then sold and resold, etc., for trafficking, you know, the products and trafficking the children themselves, etc., which is real interesting. And that's what has to be fully broken down and investigated. But that is, in fact, one of the key trucks right there. And that's him driving around, you know. They're taking it everywhere. And they've got these giant containers in the back. Can't mistake it. More to come. Ethan Wise. Once again. Film. They did all these short films, all these films. All the time in Maryland, apparently. This is during the exact time that the trafficking operations are going on throughout Missouri and going on into Tennessee. He's sitting here, you know, probably with not much really better to do, and doing all these short films, things like that. So we're going to be going to a couple of these addresses. But they worked on those Tacoma trucks day in and day out, sometimes 12 hours per day, to get them all fitted with all these different, you know, devices and giant gallon containers. And really, there isn't any other reason they're going to use those gallons. For the most part, all of it is done for the reasons of trafficking, and especially trafficking children, keeping all the blood and all that, you know, all, you know, completely fresh, or whatever else they do with that. Because it costs a huge amount of money, believe it or not. Thousands, sometimes over $1 million to traffic people, including children and whatnot. Keep them all at the exact proper temperatures. It's just some sick stuff. So here we go. So I have to be careful here about this whole thing. But I promise we were definitely going to check this out. This is David Wise. That's correct. The same exact David Wise who you find here, you know, in the older Ethan Wise pictures on Facebook and similar things. It's him. And it is either the father of Ethan, it could be, but it's more than likely his uncle. And this David Wise person, who's a part of the Solomons, you know, Wise group, etc., was in the U.S. Army. You can see right there, senior Army instructor. So he's related to Amy Wise, Tammy Wise, John Briggs, etc. Of course, also Ethan Wise. But here's what it matters about this. He's got all these different profiles. Most of them are fake profiles. He owns several different trucks, right? And when we're going to go to his address. This is their address right here, 123 White Oak something. Anyway, it's in Arden, North Carolina. Arden, North Carolina is not that far, that's correct, from where Dane Ashworth lives. So, in other words, David Wise and unmistakably Ethan Wise were here in North Carolina. Okay? The plate number, which I believe is like HJH474, that's registered to North Carolina, and it comes back to these addresses right out here. And what do we see here? Some GMC trucks that have very strange containers inside them, directly in front of David Wise's house. Now, I'm not going to go into like real detail on this, at least not right now. There's other things that have to truly be investigated, but you can see just how absolutely strange and unsavory all of this looks. And they were clearly doing a lot of child trafficking for a long time. And David Wise was involved with it. He knew about all of this. And sometime soon, when we have the time, we're going to be able to go into an hour-long real video on this. But he owned numerous Toyota Tacoma trucks, and there's no reason he would do anything like that unless, yes, that's correct. David Wise and Kristen Wise and so on were a part of the trafficking, and were part of the trafficking and kidnapping, most likely, of Summer Wells. Thank you again. This last part will be a thing that's at the tail end of the video for the investigation for now, but this is interesting. This is an area that's directly next to David Wise's second house, essentially. And it's an area that's alleged, because everything is alleged right now until this thing is truly officially in court. But it's an area that's alleged to be where some of these, children and whatnot were trafficked. Definitely in this area by the woods here. And what's unusual about this, folks, is this is, of course, directly next to David Wise's house. But we can see here there's this like tree stump thing, which clearly shouldn't be there. Anyway, it is alleged so far that tree stump area, similar things look exactly like this, are used for their little powwows that they'll hold sometimes out here. People who are involved in real trafficking and whatnot do some interesting things, and sometimes rituals, I suppose, and things, but they hold their little powwow right there over the stump, essentially. And so, I don't know, it makes sense that this could potentially be an area where victims were trafficked. That's true, because there's a lot of things that hide in those woods. So anyway, that's all for now. We didn't want to drag this out. Thank you. And so at the end of the day, folks, what are my real thoughts on this very fluid situation? Well, I will tell you this. To cover these transports, trucks, and similar, and also cover what my real feelings are on the issues, just wouldn't do it justice. So sometime soon, I'm going to go ahead and devote a 1 hour deep dive to the whole Summer Wells case and situation. But my main feelings on it have changed to be thus. I originally thought and felt like many that Don Wells, Candace and other family members had done this, and it was them, in league with the Sidewalk Prophets or something, and that was it. And my views on that have changed drastically based upon hard evidence and other files that have finally been released. I now strongly feel that Candace Wells may have had very little to do with this at all. They may have covered it up after the fact. Don Wells was definitely involved, but also Dane Ashworth was 100% involved now that I look at the evidence and start adding it up. So was Ethan Wise, and of course, Moyes was involved, meaning Moyes Arroyo was definitely directly involved. The evidence is starting to shape that very clearly. And David Wise, who I originally didn't have much feelings about, I'm starting to suspect is in fact a murderer. I've had some intuition on that, a sense that he may have killed some different trafficking victims and so forth. Wouldn't be any surprise to find out that is the case. I don't think Ethan Wise did. I don't think these other younger folks necessarily did that. I do believe that David Wise for certain did. And I do believe that Mr. David Wise and a few of these other people, including the Sidewalk Prophets they are linked to, are involved directly with this trafficking. That's where I'll leave it for now. Thank you.